And welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here. My next guest, many of you may remember her voice as she was my co-host here for 5 years on Life Unrehearsed. None other than Corrie Sirota. That's right, Corrie is a clinical social worker and psychotherapist who specializes in grief and loss. She's also the author of Someone Died, Now What? And the clinical director at Myra's Kids Foundation, a free resource that helps support bereaved children and their families. Corrie, welcome back to Life Unrehearsed.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining me. I know there's so many events coming up, and we thought it'd be a great time to get you back on to talk about child bereavement and some of the wonderful causes that you're doing at Myra's Kids Foundation. First of all, children actually grieve then?
So the short answer is yes. Now the longer answer is still yes. It's really just to remember that even a very young child who might have no clear concept of what death means, they're going to pick up on what's going on. There's an emotionally charged atmosphere in their houses, so they're likely going to have a reaction as well. So it's important to remember, whatever the circumstances, babies, children, teens, they need to have their grief recognized and acknowledged.
And I would imagine that a child's grief is somewhat different than how an adult would grieve, no?
Such an important point to identify and to talk about, remembering that, because there's often an expectation that how come my child isn't grieving the way I am, or they're not sad enough, or they're too sad. We need to remember that children grieve in bursts. It's kind of like a puddle jumping. So they go in and out of sadness as they have short sadness spans, but when they're in it, it's as profound as the sadness or any of the feelings that an adult has.
Very interesting. And, sometimes, and as you know, Corey, you taught me so much about this. It's a heavy subject, to talk about child bereavement, child grief. But I learned from you, Corey, and it is extremely important to address it, not to run away from it. So can you explain why it's so important to address childhood grief?
Absolutely. There's a lot of bereavement studies that have been done, and the research is very, very clear on this, that children that do not have a place and a space to grieve and share their feelings, you're not going to believe this, they're more likely to be expelled from school, repeat a grade, withdraw, they have difficulty concentrating, absenteeism. So there's an overall decrease in academic performance, but further to that, they have a tendency of being more depressed. There's mental health issues, even engage in risk-taking behavior.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Del Vecchio here, and I'm talking with grief and bereavement specialist Corrie Sirota. Continuing along the lines of the child grief, what would be some of the simple ways, Corrie, to help children who are bereaved so they can cope with their grief better?
So while we need an hour or 2 hours to do this, I'm going to try and be really simple with everyone who's listening. Let's start with validating their feelings. And that can be not necessarily is everybody a chatty talker and wants to express it that way. So through a journal, we have at Myra's Kids a journal that we give children. It's both in French and English. Help them draw something, scrapbooking, telling the story, lighting a candle, all these different ways that they can not make it the elephant in the room and not be afraid to raise the topic of the loss and, of course, the person. At the same time, sticking to routines is really, really important. It gives the children a sense of safety. And like I said, finding different rituals and continuing or creating new rituals that will incorporate the person that has died is so important, and that is a very wonderful way of maintaining the connection with that person.
Myra's Kids Foundation, we've talked about it. You're their clinical director. John Ryder, who's been on the show before. Love John and all the work he and you are doing, Corrie. And it continues to evolve. I'm always amazed with some of the initiatives. And so maybe for our listeners, let's back it up a little bit. From what is Myra's Kids Foundation, how you help bereaved families?
So Myra's Kids is one of the ways we can help bereaved children and their families. It's a free, non-denominational program that offers a safe space and place for children to not only honor the memory of the person who died, but also to just be kids. So we do that in the form of monthly activities. But we also this year are doing a family camp where we'll have both caregivers and children come together, do some activities, art, dance, sports, memory ceremonies, and be together and just have fun. There'll be tears for sure, but there'll also be a place that they can have fun. So we'll do that this year in June. That's the first time we're doing that program here in Montreal.
Saw that.
One day. And then we also do the weekend camp up at Y Country Camp, and that's with the help of tremendous group of volunteers that will come up and bring children ages 6 to 17 up to camp to do activities, again, that honor the memory of the person who died.
Listening to Life Rehearsed, Matt Del Vecchio here, and talking with Corrie Sirota. She's a grief and bereavement specialist, clinical director at Myra's Kids Foundation. Love that family camp idea. First year you're doing it. Way to go. And the weekend camp, just an amazing, I guess it's a 2-3 day event in the summer. Are you still, are you full, Corrie, for that summer camp? Or how's that
we're pretty close to it. If someone dies and they need some support in October and our camps aren't until the summer, we want to offer them some space to be able to do some activities around holidays. We know holidays are a tough time for families, so everything from, we have a Mother's Day program this Sunday, actually next Sunday coming up. Today, by the way, is Bereaved Mother's Day.
Oh,
I'm not sure if
really?
you knew that.
Today, how about that?
Yeah. So days to honor very special times and challenges for people, although some will say every day is a challenge. Mm-hmm. But this is what we'll do. The website is www.myraskids.ca, and it has all the information about all of our programs, calendar of events, etc. In fact, we're gearing up for a big fundraising event because all of this is free. So we do have something called Ignite Your Support. That's going to be on May 22nd at Le Andover, and it's really the help of the community that enables us to do everything that we do with these families.
You know, I just love the Fundraiser Ignite event. Started as grassroots, right, just a couple of years ago, and it has just taken off. A wonderful event in itself, but a huge fundraiser for Myra's Kids Foundation. Helps because weekend camp. This is a free camp, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't it?
All of our programs are free.
Unbelievable. So if you just want to repeat the date, that's this coming May 22nd for Fundraiser Ignite at Le Andover, and it's just going to the website if people are interested for tickets and so on.
Yep, myraskids.ca, and our family camp program is June 15th, and our weekend camp program is August 9th to the 11th. So if anybody wants some information, please head over to the website or email me at Corrie, Corrie, at myraskids.ca.
Corrie, such a great cause. Just a shout out for who you're going to be honoring at the Fundraiser Ignite event.
Oh, please, one of our very special volunteers who is on the board of directors, Roz Weiner, an incredibly worthy person. She's actually been on Life Unrehearsed as well, because she's a very strong community advocate and well-deserving of recognition.
Well-deserved is absolutely right. Well, Corrie, so great to have you back. Great to hear your voice. I wish you much success in the continuing growth of Myra's Kids Foundation. One more time for that website for our listeners.
myraskids.ca, myraskids.ca.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Corrie, for coming on.
Thanks, Matt. It's a pleasure.
All right. That's Corrie Sirota, grief and bereavement specialist and clinical director at Myra's Kids Foundation.